Good evening, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Can you please confirm if I'm audible or not? Is my voice clear to you? Write it in the chat box. Okay, fine. So, without wasting any time, let us begin with the session. So, hello everyone, welcome to another session of Perspective 360 degree where we do current affair based answer writing practice in a detailed and structured manner. So, if you are an aspirant preparing for exams like RBI, NABARD, IRDAI, etc., then this initiative is definitely going to help you with answer writing practice for the descriptive paper of phase 2. So let us begin with the discussion, and as you would be knowing that the topic that we are going to discuss today is Ayushman Bharat PMJAY. And the reason why we are discussing this topic, I have not selected this topic randomly. Basically, it was there in the news. Why it was in news? Because the scope of this scheme has been expanded. Now the scope of this scheme with respect to the senior citizens has been expanded, and you can see that there were different articles related to the schemes that were there in the news. So that is why we are discussing this topic, and we are going to understand what is Ayushman Bharat scheme and different features with respect to this scheme. And I would also request you, or I would also encourage you to please write the answers in the comment box with respect to this discussion. Fine. So now let us move on to the next part. If you see your syllabus, in your syllabus it is very specifically mentioned that Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana and health insurance scheme for below poverty lines. On similar lines, you also have to prepare Ayushman Bharat Yojana also. Fine. So this is with respect to your syllabus. Now if you are somebody who is new to this Perspective 360 degree initiative, let me tell you that here firstly we give you an expected question. We are going to discuss the expected question as a part of this session, and once this session is done, you have to write the answer of this question in the comment box. That will be evaluated by our team within 48 hours, and this whole initiative is free of cost. So today is Wednesday, so submit your answer before Friday 5 p.m. if you want it to get evaluated in the comment box. Fine. So let us see the expected question for today, which is basically describe the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana in detail, discuss its components and highlight its major achievements since its inception. How has the scheme contributed to improving healthcare access in India? So basically we are going to firstly see the features of this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Then we will see the new scope that has been expanded with respect to the senior citizens. Apart from that, I'm also going to provide you some good amount of data with respect to this scheme which you can use in your multiple answers, and at the end we will see some challenges also. Fine. So this is how we are going to proceed in this session. Now before we start that, this is the answer blueprint that I would like you to follow in the comment box and also in the examination, where you will divide your answer into introduction, the body and the conclusion. And as I always say that the introduction should be only around 10 to 12% of the total word limit, not more than that, and the same rule applies to the conclusion also. The rest of the word limit should be dedicated to the body part, where you will write your body in the form of different headings and subheadings that you will try to substantiate using data, facts or examples. So this is the standard approach that I usually suggest in all my sessions, and this is the blueprint that you can follow. Now let us move on to the answer part. So basically let us see the introduction, because the scope of writing introduction in this question is not very high, because you know the question is of 250 words, and if we use the 10% of 250, it is around 25 to 30 words. Fine. So we are going to write a very small introduction, and apart from that, another reason why we are writing the small introduction is because the question is very specifically asking about describe the details with respect to this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So in the body part also we are going to write the details, so there is no point of repeating the information in the introduction also. So introduction is going to be very short, concise and precise. Fine. So let us talk about the introduction part. So very brief introduction that Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is one of the largest government funded healthcare schemes in the world, aimed at providing financial protection and improving access to quality healthcare for the economically weaker sections of the society. And we all know that what is this scheme all about. It is basically the largest, I would say, national publicly funded insurance scheme that provides a health insurance to the economically weaker sections of the society. Fine. Now let us go through the details that what are the different features that are there with respect to the scheme, and let us talk about the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So the first thing that we can talk about, we all know that the ministry under which it comes, which is Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Fine. And it is a type of centrally sponsored scheme. Now basically there are broadly two type of schemes. The first type of scheme is, you must have heard about this term while reading your current affairs. The first type of scheme is centrally, or I should say central sector schemes. Fine. And the second type of schemes are central sponsored schemes. Now what is the difference between these two type of schemes? Basically central sector schemes are the ones that are fully funded by the central government only. 100% funding is by the central government. Whereas when we talk about central sponsored schemes, these are the schemes where the funding is divided between, it is shared between the central government and the state government. So when we talk about the Ayushman, this Bharat mission, this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, it is basically a central sponsored scheme. Fine, not a central sector scheme. This is the first piece of information that you need to remember. And how this sharing is done between the central government and the state government, this is we are going to understand very soon. But this is a general idea regarding it, that it is a type of centrally sponsored scheme. Fine, under the Ayushman Bharat mission is the whole mission, and under this we have this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Fine, if we talk about the background of this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, basically earlier we used to call it National Health Protection Scheme, and it was later on renamed to Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. And when later on it was renamed and it was well established, run by the government in the year 2018, so basically what happened, that there was an already existing health insurance scheme that was there, that was already launched by the government, and the name of this scheme was Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, RSBY. Fine. And basically RSBY, it provides health insurance specifically for targeting the BPL families, which is below poverty line families. Now when this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana was launched, it was, I would say, more holistic mission in order to provide the benefits to the economically weaker sections of the society. So what the government did, government integrated this Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana as a part of this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. I hope it is clear to you. We will understand it, how it has expanded the scope, how it has benefited the beneficiaries through this integration. But this is actually the background of this scheme, that this scheme was integrated, this scheme was merged with Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. Fine. Now the purpose. The purpose is something we all know, it is already clear, in order to alleviate the financial burden on the poor and the vulnerable population, so that whatever out-of-pocket expenditure that is there with respect to the health expenditure, that gets eventually reduced as a part of this, because of the help of this insurance. And secondly, if we talk about the broad major objective or aim with respect to this scheme, it is to fulfill the universal health coverage agenda, which is something that has been set by, or I would say very much highly promoted by, the World Health Organization. And this universal health coverage ensures that everyone has access to health services. Fine. So that is what the universal health coverage means, that without facing any financial hardship, everyone can have access to the health services. And this is what is the, I would say, the broad purpose of this whole scheme. Now if we talk about the funding mechanism, as I told you that it is a type of centrally sponsored scheme. So that is why the funding mechanism is divided between the central and the state government. The first thing is that this scheme is 100% funded by the government of India. Fine. So basically what happens in case of insurance schemes is that you are going to provide some kind of input from your side, contribution from your side, and some contribution can be paid by the government. But when we talk about this scheme of Jan Arogya Yojana, in this case it is fully funded by the government, 100% funded by the government. And under this 100%, when we talk about the distribution, the sharing pattern, then it is divided into central and the state government. And how this pattern is divided, very much easy to understand. Basically, in the normal states, when I say normal states, I'm saying that states apart from the northeast states and those states which have the special category status. Fine. So in the mainland state, basically the sharing pattern is 60 is to 40. So 60% contribution is by the central government and 40% contribution is by the state government. But when we talk about the states like northeast states, then this Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Jammu Kashmir, these type of states which are basically have the special category status. So these type of states, the ratio is divided into 90 is to 10. Fine. So 90% is given by the central government and 10% is given by the state government. Now what about union territories? We all know that there are basically two type of union territories. First are the ones which have the state legislature, and the second are the ones which do not have state legislature. For example, the Delhi over here, which has a state legislature. So for these type of union territories, they are treated in a similar manner the way states are. So the ratio is divided into 60 is to 40. Fine. Whereas if we talk about the other type of union territories, for example Chandigarh, which do not have a legislature, so in this case they receive 100% funding by the central government. Fine. So that is the idea. Very much straightforward information that how the funding is divided, and I hope it is clear to you. Now let us move on to the implementing agencies. When we talk about the implementing agencies, we all know that at the national level we have National Health Authority. What is the job of this National Health Authority? Basically, it coordinates the different state health authorities that are working in the different parts of the nation, in the different states. Fine. That is the first job, that it helps in making the coordination between the different state health authorities. Apart from that, it also manages the finances. Fine. Now you would be thinking that if we already have a National Health Authority, why do we have a State Health Authority? So the logic behind this is that health is a state subject. Fine. In our constitution, health is a state subject. So keeping that thing in mind, states are also empowered because states are managing the hospitals, all such kind of things, because health primarily the state subject. So that is why states have also been given role to play the active participation with respect to this scheme, and state health authorities are there which are headed by the chief executive officers, and these chief executive officers are appointed by the respective state governments. Fine. The next is the district level. So why do we have this scheme at the district level? So that better implementation can happen, the effective implementation can happen all across the nation. So for that we have the district implementation unit that is chaired by the district collector or the district commissioner. Fine. So that is the idea. The next thing is regarding the beneficiary. Now regarding the beneficiary, there are 2 points. The first point is that primarily how the beneficiaries are identified. So basically they are identified using this socio-economic caste census 2011. Now this is a type of caste census that classifies the different households. It classifies different households based on their deprivation indicators. Fine. Deprivation indicators. So basically it indicates the socio-economic hardships of those households, and that is why we say that this scheme aims to uplift the socio-economic backward sections of the society by providing them this kind of insurance program. Fine. So that is something that households under the socio-economic caste census, they are identified based on the deprivation status, and that's how they are funded. Fine. Another thing is that when we talk about the families, fine, families who are already listed under this Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, because I told you that this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana was merged, it was integrated with Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. Now those families who are already covered under Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, they will automatically be added to this beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana also. Fine, they are also eligible for that. So I hope it is clear. Now let us talk about the key components with respect to this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. When we talk about these key components can be divided into two parts. The first one is Ayushman Arogya Mandirs, and the second is Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Fine. As a part of this, when we talk about this Ayushman Bharat, fine, Ayushman Bharat mission. So the first is Ayushman Arogya Mandirs. Now what are these Ayushman Arogya Mandirs? Earlier they were known by this name Ayushman Bharat Health and Wellness Centers, but later on their name was changed to Ayushman Arogya Mandirs. And what is the job of this Ayushman Arogya Mandirs? Basically they provide primary healthcare facilities. primary healthcare facility. This is something that you need to remember, that they provide only primary healthcare facilities. They do not provide secondary and the tertiary healthcare facilities, only the primary ones. Primary ones, for example, the general outpatient care. For example, you if somebody goes to the hospital for some checkup, now when he goes to the hospital, he is not getting admitted. Fine. So that is something we call general outpatient care. Apart from that, the basic healthcare needs, for example, the immunization, all such type of things are provided by this Ayushman Arogya Mandirs. And the good thing is that the aim is to provide the universal healthcare. Apart from that, these Ayushman Arogya Mandirs are free of cost. Fine. This is something that is provided as a part of this Ayushman Arogya Mandirs. Now the next category is Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Fine, which is very specifically PMJAY. When we talk about this one, here we have some kind of detailing that it provides health insurance cover of rupees 5 lakh per family per year. Now please remember that this is rupees 5 lakh per family, not per head. It is given to a full family, and that family can utilize it for the whole year. Fine. So that is the idea regarding it. But unlike this Ayushman Arogya Mandir, this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, the health insurance that it provides, it basically takes care the secondary and the tertiary care hospitalization. Fine. So Ayushman Arogya Mandir, they care about this primary healthcare center, the primary healthcare services, whereas these ones care about this insurance facility covers the secondary and the tertiary care hospitalization. Apart from that, the basic things that it covers, this coverage includes 3 days of pre-hospitalization and 15 days of post-hospitalization expenses. Very basic point. There is nothing much to explain. Apart from that, it offers the cashless benefits, then no restrictions on family size, age or gender. So this is something, I would say very much important, because when we talk about the family, a family can have 5 members also, 6 members also, 4 members also, but this health insurance plan does not add any kind of limitation with respect to the family size. The whole family will be getting that total insurance plan of rupees 5 lakh, and they can use it based on their medical expenses. Fine. Next thing is that all pre-existing conditions are covered from the first day of enrollment. Very general point. इसमें कोई समझाने वाला नहीं है. Then the nationwide portability of services through empaneled and private hospitals across the India. Fine, across India. So whatever hospital that are empaneled with this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, they will provide the services. Fine, all across the nation. So that is the idea regarding, or I would say regarding this key components of Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Fine, the mission. Now let us talk about the details of expansion of scheme. Now this is the reason why we are discussing this scheme today, because the scope has been expanded. Now how the scope has been expanded? Earlier what used to happen? Now the scope has expanded with respect to the senior citizens. This is something that has happened very recently. Fine, with respect to a senior citizen. So earlier what used to happen, how the senior citizen used to be identified. Earlier also senior citizens were there a part of this scheme. But the thing is that how they were identified. So basically they were identified as per SCCC 2011. Fine. And what was the coverage criteria? The coverage criteria was the income. Fine. So if there is a family, that family has a very low income, that family is very much vulnerable, deprived, all such kind of factors, then only that that family would be covered as a part of it, and the senior citizen who is a part of that family, naturally he will also be covered as a part of it. But now what change has been made, that now the focus has been shifted on universal coverage of senior citizens. So basically what has been done, it has removed the income criteria for senior citizens aged 70 or above. Fine. So does not matter what the income is, if there is a senior citizen and his age is 70 or above, so he will be eligible for this scheme. Fine. So this scheme aims to benefit around 6 crore senior citizens. The next thing is that this is very important point and very beneficial point for the senior citizens. So the thing is that senior citizen will receive a family based health coverage of rupees 5 lakh annually. Fine. So this is what the ordinary health coverage limit, which is 5 lakh rupees, which we have discussed here also. Fine. Over here, that 5 lakh rupees per family per year. Now the thing is that another provision that has been added is that an additional top up of rupees 5 lakh annually. Fine. So this 5 lakh annual additional top up is for the senior citizen person. For example, let us say there is a senior citizen and he wants to go for some surgery, and let us say the surgery expenses are 7 lakh rupees. Fine. So what the senior citizen can do, 5 lakh rupees he can use from his family coverage. Fine, the family coverage plan is there. So 5 lakh rupees he has used. Now how much money is left? 2 lakh rupees. So 2 lakh rupees he can use from where? The additional top up coverage of previous 5 lakh that has been provided to him. Fine. So that is the, I would say, the additional benefit that has been offered to the senior citizens, and that is very helpful with respect to the aim of this scheme. The next is very general point. Eligible senior citizen will be issued a distinct card. They will be issued a special card, and apart from that, the other key features, for example, the senior citizens who are already availing benefits from other public insurance services, they may choose to continue those services, or what they can do, they can or else they can switch to this Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So they have this choice. Apart from that, those senior citizens under private health insurance also, they are also eligible for this scheme. Fine. So this is that expansion. This is something that is there as a part of current affairs with respect to senior citizens. Fine. I hope it is clear to you. Next thing is regarding, I'm going to provide you some data so that this scheme is important. So you can add some data as a part of your answer. This is going to help in value addition. So what have been the key achievements with respect to this Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana? So let us talk about this also, that what has been the impact of this Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So basically over 35.4 crore Ayushman cards have been issued, successfully empaneled more than 30,000 hospitals have been there. Fine. So this is something that I'm not going to explain क्योंकि इसमें कुछ समझने वाला है नहीं. अब आयुष्मान कार्ड दे दिए तो इसमें मैं क्या समझाऊं अब, ठीक है. And hospital इतने empaneled हो गए. This is something, but I would suggest you that some kind of data you should memorize. तो इस data को आप कैसे use कर सकते हो? Either you can write it if the question is asked very specifically with respect to Pradhan Jan Arogya Yojana, or if the question is asked in the exam with respect to the importance of health insurance or something related to health insurance, or it can be related to insurance also. Fine, कोई भी insurance का question आ गया, types of insurance पूछ लिए, तो types of insurance में आप health insurance लिखोगे, वहां पे आप ये data डाल सकते हो. Health insurance से question आ गया, वहां पे ये data डाल सकते हो. PMJY से specific question आ गया, वहां भी आप ये data डाल सकते हो. So whatever you feel comfortable, you can memorize that data and add it as a part of your notes. Similarly, reduction in healthcare burden also, that a 21% reduction in out-of-pocket expenditure has been observed, and there has been an 8% increase in the incidence of emergency loans taken for health-related services. Apart from that, it has promoted a gender equity also. How it has promoted gender equity? Because 49% of the Ayushman cards, they have been issued to women. So you can imagine the impact that this whole scheme has added with respect to the gender equity. Fine. Then 3.6 crore hospital admissions has been utilized by the women beneficiaries. So that's how it promotes the gender equity in the healthcare. Lastly, we are promoting healthcare infrastructure, that the district hospitals have seen an annual net benefit of $26.1 million, and this financial boost enhances the hospital's capacity to serve their communities in a more effective manner. So this is how this scheme has contributed with respect to better availability of the healthcare services. Now next we have the concerns or challenges with respect to that, and all the points have been taken from CAG reports 2023. Fine. So what are the concerns with respect to that? These concerns are very much easy to, I would say, there is nothing much to explain in these points. जो भी समझने वाला था हम समझ चुके हैं, ठीक है. अब इसमें कुछ नहीं है. There have been database errors. So example is, for example, in Tamil Nadu, 4,761 registrations were made using 7 Aadhaar numbers. So you can see the database errors that are there. It can be because of invalid names, duplication of IDs, all such, because of all such kind of reasons, database errors are there. Then poor infrastructure is also a big challenge, because some empaneled providers, they do not meet the minimum criteria for infrastructure. Fine, which compromises with the quality standards and the criteria that has been promoted under the theme of this scheme. The next is regarding the financial irregularities. So irregularities are also there, for example, regarding different parameters, regarding the surgeries, regarding the transaction cost, admission, then the date records, all such kind of things. There is financial irregularity, and also there has also been concern that the amount, the funding that has been provided to the hospitals as a part of this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, they are getting the funding, but they are not using this funding in an effective manner specifically for this scheme. They are using this funding for other purposes also. Fine. So this is also an important point, that the revenue received from Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana was not used by public hospital for the purpose defined under the scheme. Lastly, delays in the implementation are also there, that the submission of claims by the hospital, approval of pre-authorization requests, grievance resolution. So implementation challenges are also there. Very general points, easy to understand. Fine. Then absence of master data. There is no standard master data that can track the inefficiency and can monitor the changes with respect to the scheme. So we need to have such data. You can write it as a part of your way forward also. That has been highlighted as a part of this CAG report 2023. Next, let us talk about the conclusion that ABPMJY has greatly transformed the healthcare landscape, offering essential coverage to millions and reducing the financial burden. However, the National Health Authority must adopt a more proactive approach to ensure that the scheme's initiative are implemented in full. So, firstly, we have rephrased the thesis. We have agreed to the situation that yes, this PMJY, it has transformed the healthcare landscape. Now, what can be the way forward? The way forward is that before understanding the way forward, we have written a challenge that NHA must adopt a more proactive approach to ensure that the scheme is implemented in full, and this includes what? This includes the improving validation process, upgrading infrastructure, geotagging hospitals, conducting regular verification, also sort of things which are a part of our way forward. So this is how we have divided our conclusion, and I hope it is clear to you. Varnika is asking where will we get the PDF for this. PDF will be available on our Telegram channel. Varnika, you can access our Telegram channel. यहाँ की होगी फोटो नहीं है तो देख लेना EduTap regulatory body, just search it and you will able to find the PDF. Fine, it will be uploaded by tomorrow morning. The PDF will be uploaded. So this is your question, the answer of which you have to write in the comment box. It will be evaluated by our team. So I think considering these parameters in mind, I think the scheme is done for you. This is the only thing that I think you need to cover. We have covered most of the dimensions, and these are EduTap blogs where you can find different articles that are relevant for your preparation. Go and follow them on our website. Fine, so that is it. So let me see the chat box. Is anything, if anything else is there? Also, if you want to give feedback or if you want to give any suggestion, if you want me to bring anything else also from my side, if you want me to suggest any topic, any such sort of thing, either you can write it in the comment box or you can give your feedback on feedback@edutap.co.in. Fine, so I think nothing is there in the chat box, so shall I end the session? Fine, so I'm ending the session now.